The axis of evil alliance is gaining momentum.
Thank you very much for the hospitality and for taking the time.
Military cooperation between Russia and North Korea is rapidly increasing. Following ammunition and ballistic missiles, Pyongyang has sent thousands of soldiers to Moscow.
We were based in Vysoko and Lushkovo at the pioneer camp. Everything was fine until the Koreans were brought in.
And importantly, such military cooperation between the two dictatorial regimes is not only directed against Ukraine. Everything Kim Jong-un receives from Putin will be used against South Korea. Is Seoul ready for a military confrontation with its aggressive northern neighbor? What is the state of South Korea's military-industrial complex? And how can South Korea assist Ukraine in the war against Russia? Let's figure it out. The deployment of North Korean military personnel to Russia shifts the balance of power in the Ukrainian theater. South Korea must engage, so Seoul's role in the confrontation between Kiev and Moscow will grow.
We adhere to the principle of refusing direct deliveries of lethal weapons, but in this case we can reconsider this issue more flexibly, depending on North Korea's military activities.
As of today, South Korea has one of the most powerful and modern military-industrial complexes in the world.
It is one of the leading countries in the world on the global arms export market. According to the Stockholm International Institute, in 22nd year, South Korea's military-industrial complex increased its sales of its own types of weapons by 140%.
Besides its powerful military-industrial complex, Korea has large Soviet equipment reserves. For instance, in the military warehouses of Seoul, there are T-80 tanks which were transferred to it by Russia in the mid-90s. This equipment was used to equip 2 battalions of 1 tank brigade. According to various sources, South Korea has between 50 to 80 T-80 tanks. In addition to tanks, Seoul also received up to 100 units of Soviet BMP-3. The obvious advantage of Soviet equipment is that Ukraine can send it to the front immediately without any additional training. The experience of the heavy, exhausting and bloody Korean War in the 1950s made Seoul one of the largest producers of artillery ammunition in the world. During the war, South Korea, through the United States, supplied the Ukrainian Defense Forces with up to approximately 500,000 rounds of 150mm artillery ammunition.
Up to 500,000.
But the South Korean defense industry is not rich in ammunition alone. In the tank category, Seoul has its own extensive range, starting from the K1, K1A1, and up to the most modern K2 tank. In total, Korea has more than 2,000 tanks in service. If the K1 tank is a licensed version of the American Abrams, where Korea relied on technologies subject to US export control, the copy of the American Abrams tank is the K1A1. However, the South Korean K2 is the most modern tank in the world. As of today, the K2 is the only 4th generation tank in the world that is in service. The technical specifications of the Black Panther are as follows. The combat weight of the heavyweight is 55 tons. The main armament is a 120mm gun with a barrel length of 55 full calibers. The engine, with a power of 1,500 horsepower, provides a solid maximum speed of 70 kilometers per hour. The K2's range is 450 kilometers. During the development process, an unusual lock task for tanks was set by the engineer. Firepower and armor took a back seat. Maneuverability and technological advancement came to the forefront. The tank's protection system uses radar and a thermal imager to detect shells and missiles up to 150 meters. The operating principle is as follows. The radar captures and tracks the projectile. The computer calculates the flight trajectory, after which counter missiles eliminate the threat. The Korean system requires about 0.2 of a second to intercept an enemy projectile from the moment of detection. In addition to tanks, South Korea has a very impressive artillery lineup. Here you have about 1,300 modern 150mm K9 Thunder self-propelled artillery units, and about 1,000 not as new but reliable K55 and K55-1A self-propelled guns.
K-55. Similar to tanks, the self-propelled gun is a modernized copy of the American M109. Technically, the South Korean K9 Thunder self-propelled artillery is not inferior to its Western competitors.
The firing range is up to 30 kilometers with a standard high explosive shell and up to 40 kilometers with a rocket-assisted shell. The rate of fire is up to 6 rounds per minute. It is one of the most modern self-propelled artillery systems in the world. It's no coincidence that they are in service with India, Estonia, Norway and Australia.
In addition to a variety of modern equipment for conducting ground warfare, Seoul also has its own air defense systems. For instance, the South Korean medium-range surface-to-air missile system KM-SAM or Cheongung uses hit-to-kill technology, which allows the system to intercept ballistic missiles as well. The characteristics of this system are the radar can track up to 40 targets at once. Detection range is 100 kilometers. Missile speed is 4 Mach, or about 5,000 kilometers per hour. And max engagement altitude is 15 kilometers. These systems are designed to shield Seoul's front from North Korean ballistic missiles, now used by Russia in Russia's war on Ukraine. Korea also has its own very promising models of cruise weaponry. A new supersonic missile was unveiled just recently during the airshow in Seoul. Although the name of the missile is still unknown, it is certain to be exported abroad. There is no name yet, but there are specifications. The missile class is air-to-surface. The maximum speed is 2.5 Mach 1 Mach, or about 3,000 kilometers per hour. For comparison, German Taurus missiles have a maximum speed of about 1,000 kilometers. The declared flight range of the missile is 300 kilometers. The missile uses a ramjet engine. The primary carriers of the missiles will be South Korean Fa-50 and Kf-21 fighters. Experts expect that the introduction of supersonic weapons will significantly enhance the appeal of South Korean fighters in the global defense market. In the context of strengthening military cooperation between Beijing and Moscow, it would be a logical outcome to strengthen military ties between Kiev and Seoul. And despite the law prohibiting the export of South Korean weapons to warring countries, military cooperation and even the transfer of South Korean equipment to Ukraine is quite possible.
Deliveries through third countries, for example, the same USA or Poland. That is, South Korea transfers weapons or equipment to Ukraine's defense forces through the USA. The USA, replenishing its own arsenal with South Korean weapons, transfers its weapons to Ukraine, which are located in European countries.
That's all. Don't forget to write in the comments about which types of weapons you would like to learn more about, like this video, and of course subscribe to our new Arsenal channel. The link is in the description below the video.
The first North Korean officers eliminated on Ukrainian territory.
A missile strike near Donetsk destroyed 6 North Korean officers.
Thousands of military personnel training at Russian ranges. Koreans strolling the streets of Moscow. As well as lectures on political training for Russian translators in the spirit of Back to the USSR.
Do you think it's not being written? I'm having dialogues with others about this. This leadership includes the idea that yes, the Korean party must stand with all leaderships.
Kim-Jong-un enters the war against Ukraine. Pyongyang and Moscow no longer hide their plans. What is North Korea's military potential? What are the dictators planning? More on this later in Arsenal. 3 years of a heavy, bloody war between the South and the North made the Koreas some of the most militarized countries in the world.
They are preparing, they understand that North Korea is a direct threat, primarily to South Korea and also to Japan.
According to analysts from Global Firepower in 2024, North Korea ranked 5th in the world in terms of the number of active military personnel, with 1.3 million military personnel, while South Korea ranked 9th with 600,000 respectively. Interestingly, while sending his troops to the war with Ukraine, Kim Jong-un is also threatening war with his southern neighbor.
In the event of war, the Republic of Korea will be destroyed. It desires war and we will gladly destroy it. According to consolidated data, over 2 days, October 14th and 15th, more than 1 million nationwide, 400,000 leading workers of the union, youth and young people have expressed a strong desire to join and return to the People's Army.
It's a case of not quality but quantity. With a small population of 25 million, North Korea holds 4 million military personnel in reserve, combined with active forces, provides Kim Jong-un over 5 million ideologically indoctrinated soldiers.
A peculiar axis of authoritarians has formed. China, Russia, North Korea and Iran are cooperating with other countries that strongly despise the concept of the free world, and believe that Russia should be supported in its attempts to restore its empire, because these countries, such as these, believe in empires and spheres of dominance.
Military cooperation between Russia and North Korea began with the transfer of artillery ammo. And although the low quality of these very munitions is regularly complained about by the Russian occupiers themselves, the lack of quality is compensated by quantity.
North Korea provides half of the shells used by Russia in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine.
For decades since the Korean War of 1950-1953, the USSR has been the main military technical sponsor of Pyongyang. It is from those times that North Korea accumulated huge stockpiles of Soviet artillery munitions, which today North Korea is transferring to Russia. The main problem in the cooperation between the two dictatorial countries is that the West has no influence over Kim's regime. After all, North Koreans have long ceased to be intimidated by words and sanctions.
It has essentially grown in this soil of sanctions, and although everything is very difficult there is China, there are black markets, there is the possibility to steal cryptocurrency, and through this they were able to first create and then develop a nuclear program.
And although it is almost impossible to pressure North Korea, the deepening of military technical cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang opens up some prospects for Kyiv, as South Korea understands well what is coming. Trains loaded with North Korean ammunition, missiles and soldiers are met by Russian trains carrying technologies and various equipment.
I think the very logic of the development of cooperation between Russia and North Korea will eventually, quite logically, lead South Korea to intensify military technical cooperation with Ukraine. And it is precisely on this principle that if we have common enemies, we should cooperate with each other.
If Pyongyang's principle is not quality but quantity, and in the worst case, we'll bring out our main trump card. Nuclear weapons. Seoul is investing huge funds and resources into the development of a modern military-industrial complex. Tanks, fighters, howitzers, and multiple launch rocket systems. By 2027, Seoul plans to become one of the leading countries in the export of military equipment and ammunition. As of today, the main buyer of South Korean weapons is Poland. In 2022, Poland signed a massive contract worth tens of billions of dollars, under which Warsaw will receive more than 600 self-propelled artillery units. K9 218 self-propelled artillery units, K239 Chunmu, about 1,000 K2 tanks, as well as 48 Fa-50 fighter jets. To understand the vast gap in military technical development between the North and the South, it is enough to look at the military encounters of the two countries at the border. Against the backdrop of their North Korean neighbors, the South Korean infantry looks almost like Space Marines. Meanwhile, the South is not lagging behind, and in some military sectors, it even surpasses the leading Western powers. The lion's share of North Korea's military-industrial complex is tied to Soviet technologies. Pyongyang's main battle tank, the Chongho, with more than 1,250 units, is essentially a renamed copy of the Soviet T-62. Notably, the only operator of this North Korean tank in the world, besides North Korea itself, is Iran, which ordered 150 units in 1981. The technical specifications of the tank are as follows. The Chongmaho weighs 40 tons. The hull length is 6.63 meters. The height is 3.52 meters. It has a power of 750 horsepower. The maximum speed is 50 km per hour. The main armament is a 150mm smoothbore gun. The serial production of the Chongho began after the end of the Korean War. Therefore, in practice, under real combat conditions, the tank has not proven itself. What's more interesting? The situation with artillery in North Korea is intriguing. The specific military strategic position of South Korea lies in the vulnerable location of its capital. From the demilitarized zone, which is the actual border with North Korea, the capital is separated by only 50 kilometers. Such a short distance prompted the North Korean leadership to desire a gun capable of reaching the neighboring capital. The result of the efforts of North Korean engineers was the self-propelled gun Kursk of a very unusual under 70 caliber. For the North Korean self-propelled artillery, a tank-type chassis was used, borrowed from the Soviet medium tank T-54. The name Kursk was given to the self-propelled gun by Western experts in honor of the North Korean city where the artillery was first spotted. The actual designation of the self-propelled artillery is still unknown. It is believed that production began around 1973. The self-propelled gun was publicly demonstrated for the first time at the 1987 parade. The tactical and technical characteristics of the North Korean self-propelled gun are as follows. Weight is about 40 tons. The barrel length is 50 calibers or about 8 meters. Rate of fire is 2 rounds per minute. The engine power is 580 horsepower, which allows the self-propelled gun to reach a speed of 40 km/h. The firing range with a standard high explosive fragmentation shell reaches 43 kilometers, and with an active reactive shell it reaches 54-60 kilos. The SAU Aksan, created in the 1970s, became the first example of North Korean strategic weaponry, a kind of long arm of the DPRK's military political leadership. Before the advent of missiles, these guns were the only means capable of striking key centers in the south, including the capital Seoul and the port of Incheon from North Korean territory. That's all for now. Don't forget to write in the comments about which types of weapons you would like to learn more about. Like this video and of course, subscribe to our new Arsenal channel. The link is in the description below the video.